Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kaylin Rahema. So nice to see you there. If you've been following me, welcome. If you're new, I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome to this side of the internet. I am starting a new series. I'm yet to know the name. If you've been following me on Instagram, you've probably been seeing me doing short snippets of all this video diary of a sort. And I just wanted to be laid back and we just have a conversation, some reminders that look so easy to remember, but most of the time we forget because we're humans or life makes us forget or the world actually convinces us otherwise. And that's why I want to even enter into today's talk on rest. So let's get into it. This year, I've been so deep into the subject of rest. In fact, not just this year, but the whole of last year. Um, my whole family, personally, my whole family, and my own life, the subject of rest has been very deep for us. And when I'm talking about this, I'm sure many of us are thinking vacations, we're thinking spas, we're thinking skincare day, we're thinking deep things. And there's a place for that. But I remember I went for mission trips in South Africa at some point. And I remember I was with a group of young kids, and these kids were telling me, like, this guy comes up to us and we're praying. We're like, what would you want us to pray for you? And he goes ahead and says, guys, I want you guys to pray that I get rest. So ideally, I thought, oh, maybe he has school or a job, which he did. And he goes on to mention, he says, just pray for us, pray for me, blah blah. I personally would have gone ahead and just said, fine, is okay. Go ahead. We will pray for you to get rest. So I remember he goes on to say, I'm going to bed, I'm sleeping, I'm even going to all these vacations and places of rest, but I'm not finding rest. And we basically delved as a group into a conversation of what truly rest is. That was my first time hearing the difference between the rest of the world, and the rest of humans. And I remember I was sitting there and I was just like, whoa, it's so true. Do you know you can actually go for vacation and come back more tired than you went? Tell yourself, I'm gonna give myself a treat day, I'm gonna give myself ice cream, Netflix. I love Showmax. Like, I'll go watch my favorite shows, I'll do all these things. And after that, I just feel empty. I feel more tired. I'm like, do I need more? A week? What do I need? Because I'm tired. And sometimes I'm not even working as much, but I'm just tired. My mind is tired. And I'm gonna get into that. But I remember when he said that, I was just like, whoa, there is truly a real rest that supersedes you working hard. That's why you can find people working hard, so like they are working hard, but they're always on, like, they always have joy, they always have happiness, they always are on a high, and yet they're doing all that work. They're not even doing that vacation that you're looking for. Anyway, I digress. So he goes on and he says, pray for us. And I remember that's the first time we prayed for God's rest to come upon him. And it's not like any other rest I had ever had before. So let's get into it. What does the Bible say about rest? So I think my first encounter with the word rest, of course, is in Genesis. But my first real encounter with basically whoever wrote Hebrews, I was like, wait, let's read it. If Joshua had given them rest, God would have not spoken of another day later on. So then there remains a Sabbath-rest for the people of God. For whoever has entered God's rest has also rested from his works as God did from his. When I read this part of Hebrews, I was really shocked. I was thinking to myself, what? There is a place where entering God's rest is a form of obedience. It needs obedience for you to get into God's rest. And it hit me. You can do all the work. You can do all the work to rest. You can go to all the vacations. You can do everything that you want. but there's a place where the deep spiritual man needs the rest of God. Not only is it a thing that we need, like it's not even just a need, but it's a command. We are called into to enter into God's rest. And as some verses say later on in chapter 4, please read Hebrews 4 for yourself. But if you read the rest of Hebrews 4, it talks about how we strive to enter his rest. And it looks crazy. Like, who strives to enter vacation? Who strives? You are excited, you're happy, you cannot wait to go for your vacation. So it made me think that God's rest, in a sense, God's rest is obedience, basically. And for me, it was shocking. It was just shocking. God's rest is hearing his voice. God's rest is walking in power, love, and a sound mind. You're in God's rest. And today I was listening to Apostle Toby Aromi, and he was talking about basically how the spirit of fear manifests in different ways. And it hits me, where you do not have rest, fear is there. When you don't have rest, worry is there. When you don't have all these things, rest, the true rest that is being talked about here in Hebrews, there's just chaos. And it makes me think, maybe you're not fatigued. Maybe you just have not had an intimate moment with Jesus Christ. Maybe it's enough of the vacations, enough of the Netflix. Tap into God's rest. Enough of the world's rest. The world will tell you if you listen to your favorite songs. The world will tell you if you watch your favorite TV shows. The world will tell you all these things. But the true rest comes from God. And true rest comes from obedience. And I've learned this in a very special way over the past year, which I hope to be sharing with you in the next series and everything. But true rest comes in these forms. Like, that's true. That's true God's rest for us. That's what God, it is a command, but at the same time, it is a need. His rest will never run dry. So let us not run out of God's rest in the first place. Let us keep in intimacy with him. So how do we enter the rest, guys? Hey, Lord, it's tough. I think that's the place where I am at. I don't know if you can comment and tell me how you enter into God's rest after hearing this. I think that's one of my biggest prayers for God to help me personally. I'm really trying to learn how to genuinely enter God's rest. Even this morning, I'm just like, not every day. Sometimes it's cutesy and admirable. I'm like, oh Jesus, is that you in my room? Oh my God, like yay. And sometimes I wake up and I do not want to. I just don't want to even wake up. I just want to sleep. I want to eat, you know. And then you hear that now to enter God's rest means obedience. And rest may mean fasting. Resting might mean basically obeying, saying sorry, forgiving the people that outwardly did you wrong, even though they may never say sorry ever again. That's God's rest. And it's so insane to me how, as much as it's a command, it's a need. It's that place where you don't have an option. It's not a suggestion. Even for your own life, even if you tell yourself, I'm not gonna strive into God's rest, do you want to worry for the rest of your life? I didn't think so. Do you want chaos in your mind? No, I also didn't think so. So I also don't want that for my life. And I'm trying to find ways to be intimate with Jesus. And I think of the story of Mary and Martha, and how one of the sisters was sitting with Jesus and she was just sitting at his feet. And it looks so easy, but in today's world, there's so much going on. I have plans. I have, sometimes I'm worshiping God. I'm like 1 hour and I have to go, But yeah, I really hope I can share with what has worked, but what I've realized about the intimacy with God. Sorry, I have a dog. Like, hi, Miley. Miley, Miley, hi Miley. Basically, strive to enter his rest. Strive, fight to enter his rest. Get to know him. And I think that's what I'm going to do for myself too. I might not understand it now, but I hope by the next time I'm coming back, I'll be able to tell you guys like, um, yeah, like what my intimacy with him, like how I am, how I'm entering that rest, like how to enter that rest. I think I have, but you know the beauty about Jesus is that someone said he can never be boring. Like if your intimate times are boring, even him he's bored. And that was so open mind opening to me. So I do know that you can never have one way with Jesus. It's always gonna change. You know what worked, if it used to be like for me, I used to enter my room, open my Bible, play worship music for like 2 hours, get to hear him. I still do that, but I'm realizing that seasons, that times where the word he wants me to hear him in the word, to train myself to hear him in the word, and the only way that I will encounter him is through that word. And sometimes it's through worship and singing. I can read and he will speak to me, but the place I will have encounter is with worship, right? When I'm worshiping with songs. So I do know it comes in different seasons, and basically what he wants to speak to me through, even sometimes through dreams. um Sometimes they all happen at the same time, but I think that's the beauty of Jesus, right? You get to live this, you get to live with him and get to know him forever, which makes me think that then we have so much. We have so much to learn. If eternity cannot sum up knowing him, yeah, we have a long way to go. But I'm really excited. So I just wanted to challenge you in this video. It's a video diary of me challenging us to strive into God's rest. Strive to obey him, strive to listen to him. Only then can your mind be completely free. That's it, guys. Bye.